On July 10, 2005, a live experimental concert was held deep inside a natural limestone cave in northern Spain. The event, intended to blend music with raw acoustics in a subterranean environment, involved 30 people, musicians, technicians, and invited guests. The location was Cave de los Caballos, an underground chamber known for its geological beauty and Paleolithic cave art. The performance was approved by cultural authorities as a controlled, small-scale event. But what began as an ambitious acoustic experiment quickly escalated into a life-threatening situation. Within the span of an hour, the cave stability was compromised by unexpected water intrusion, resulting in a rapid flood, failed escape routes, and 2 confirmed fatalities. Subscribe to Infinity for in-depth breakdowns of hidden history, overlooked disasters, and real events that shaped modern safety standards. Let's take a closer look at what happened inside Cave de los Caballos, and why it should never have been allowed to happen. The Cave de los Caballos, located in the remote limestone hills of northern Spain near Altamira del Norte, was once known only to archaeologists and spelunkers. Its name, Cave of the Horses, comes from Paleolithic cave paintings depicting elegant horse figures in ochre and charcoal. In 2005, the cave caught the attention of an experimental music ensemble from Madrid known as Sonido Subterráneo, subterranean sound. They believed the cave's natural acoustics could offer something no concert hall ever could: pure, unfiltered harmony with the earth itself. The idea was revolutionary. A live performance, 300 meters underground, with no amplification, no electronic interference, just the raw resonance of sound against ancient stone. The project was named Echoes of the Depths. After months of negotiations, the Spanish Ministry of Culture approved the concert as a cultural experiment. Conditions were strict: only 30 guests, all equipment hand-carried, and no alterations to the cave. Engineers mapped the cave meticulously. Lighting was minimal: battery-powered lanterns and candles. Backup oxygen tanks were placed at checkpoints. The organizers wanted safety, but not at the cost of ambience. Tickets were by invitation only: musicians, historians, artists, and a few journalists. The event wasn't publicized. This was supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, almost sacred. On July 10, 2005, the small group arrived. They descended into the cave at noon, moving single file through narrow passages. The deeper they went, the cooler the air. Walls shimmered with moisture. Silence ruled. The performance was to take place in the central dome chamber, known as La Cupola, shaped like a natural amphitheater. Instruments were tuned. Candles were lit. The atmosphere was surreal, like stepping into an ancient temple. The audience sat on rock formations smoothed by time. As the first notes echoed, a chill went through the group, not from the cold but from awe. The cave wasn't just a venue. It was an instrument. But as the music stirred something primal in the depths, something else began to stir too. Midway through the third composition, an improvised piece meant to mimic the natural drip and breath of the cave, audience members noticed an odd scent in the air. Sulfuric, faint, almost metallic. A few assumed it was the limestone or the candles. But one of the cave technicians, Pablo Ruiz, recognized it immediately. "That's subterranean gas," he whispered to a colleague. Moments later, there was a light tremor. Barely noticeable. Just a soft shift underfoot. The violinist paused mid-note. A murmur passed through the audience, but the performance resumed. What no one realized was that a minor tectonic movement had just occurred in the region, common for the area, but usually harmless. In this case, however, it fractured part of an underground water table adjacent to the cave system. Within 20 minutes, droplets began to appear on the chamber walls, not the usual cave moisture, but fast, pressurized seepage. One guest, a geologist, noticed the change and warned the organizers. They debated cutting the performance short, but it was nearing its conclusion. The final piece was a haunting solo on an Andean flute, titled Viento Silenti, Silent Wind. As the last notes played, the first visible stream of water trickled in near the back entrance. Calm at first, almost poetic. But within moments, that trickle became a flow. The cave's drainage system, designed by nature, had been compromised by the tremor. Water pressure built behind thin walls of clay and sediment. A section collapsed, causing a slow flood to begin seeping into the dome chamber. The audience began to rise. A quiet unease spread. The organizers instructed everyone to remain calm and begin exiting slowly. Lights were turned up. The musicians began packing their instruments. But by then, it was already too late. As the group moved toward the exit tunnel, water began pouring from a second breach. The slope leading back to the surface became slick. One guest slipped and twisted their ankle, slowing the group. Panic started to ripple through the crowd. The water was cold, ankle-deep, and rising. What had been an otherworldly concert was quickly turning into a nightmare. The narrow exit became a bottleneck. Some tried to push ahead. One of the lanterns was knocked into the water and extinguished. Suddenly, a third of the passage went pitch black. The cave's design, once praised for its acoustics, became a trap. Sounds of shouting, splashing, and falling echoed in every direction, making it hard to tell where help was or where to go. The first major casualty occurred here. A music journalist named Clara Hinojosa hit her head on a low ceiling beam in the dark and lost consciousness in knee-high water. Two others tried to carry her but were swept off their footing when a larger surge of water came barreling through a side chamber. The cave was now filling at a rate no one had expected. Outside, surface organizers realized something was wrong when the emergency beacon failed to ping on schedule. A cave rescue team was scrambled, but it would take 45 minutes to reach the main chamber. Inside, the group was split. About 12 made it close to the outer access tunnel. The rest were trapped near La Cupula. Visibility was now near zero, and hypothermia was setting in. A musician, Tomas Elvira, used his flute to make a shrill rhythmic sound, trying to help rescuers locate them through sound. Ironically, the only sound now keeping them alive was no longer music, but a desperate call. For the next 38 minutes, they would wait, huddled in the dark, soaked, terrified, and gasping in the thinning air. The rescue team finally reached the entrance, guided by thermal imaging and rope markers. They found the outer group quickly and began evacuating them, one by one. The inner group was more difficult. Water had flooded parts of the chamber ceiling, and loose rocks made the path treacherous. One rescuer slipped and fractured a rib. Clara Hinojosa was found alive, miraculously, still unconscious but breathing. She was airlifted from the scene hours later and survived with long-term memory loss. Unfortunately, two individuals were confirmed drowned, trapped in a low-lying alcove where the water rose rapidly. Their names, Luis Farrell, a sound engineer, and Nina Verdugo, an artist from Valencia. The cave was sealed indefinitely the next day by Spanish authorities. An investigation determined the flooding was a result of natural geological instability worsened by artificial presence. The experimental concert scene went silent. The group disbanded. Survivors spoke very little of the event publicly. The event faded from headlines, overshadowed by other global events. But among a small circle of underground music fans, the story of Cave de los Caballos became legend. In 2015, a short documentary was made but never widely released. Most footage of the concert was destroyed in the water damage. Only fragments remain. The cave remains closed. Nature reclaimed it. All that's left are soaked stone, broken instruments, and a silence that doesn't echo, it absorbs. And yet, to this day, those who were there describe the moment before the disaster as the most beautiful sound they'd ever heard. The aftermath of the Cave de los Caballos incident prompted serious reviews from multiple government bodies in Spain, including the Ministry of Culture, the Geological Survey Institute, and civil protection authorities. The primary finding concluded that minor tectonic movement, combined with insufficient hydrological data about the cave system, led to the breach of a subterranean aquifer, which caused the flooding. Although the event was initially approved under strict limitations, the environmental risk assessment was later deemed incomplete. The cave had no prior long-term monitoring, and water pressure behind certain sediment walls had not been accounted for. Emergency protocols existed but were not tailored to a sudden flash flood scenario. The backup lighting system was inadequate once water reached electrical points, and the single-entry design of the cave made escape difficult under pressure. In response, Spain introduced new cave use regulations in 2006, banning all non-scientific human activity in geologically sensitive cave networks unless a full hydrological and seismic risk profile is completed and approved by the National Commission for Geological Safety. The families of the two deceased filed civil lawsuits against the event organizers and cultural supervisors, leading to settlements in 2008. Though no criminal negligence was established, the event was cited as a case study in liability at 2 European cultural policy summits. Sonido Subterraneo officially disbanded shortly after the event. Some members returned to classical performance, others ceased public appearances. No formal statements were released beyond a shared letter of condolences. The Cave de los Caballos has remained closed to the public since the incident. In 2011, it was designated a restricted geological zone, with all known entrances sealed and monitored for seismic activity. In academic circles, the incident became a pivotal reference in discussions around extreme environment performance and the intersection of art and public safety. Multiple European universities now cite the case in event planning and environmental risk coursework. Ultimately, the concert at Cave de los Caballos became more than a cultural experiment. It became a lesson in risk oversight, environmental unpredictability, and the critical need for rigorous safety frameworks when engaging with natural spaces. If this story moved you, if it made you think, don't let it fade. Like, subscribe, and share this video so the tale of the Cave de los Caballos isn't lost to time. And drop a comment: should humans create art in dangerous places? Or are some places better left untouched? This is Infinity, where forgotten truths echo louder than fiction. Until next time, listen closely. Sometimes, the earth whispers back.